I will be walking you through making chicken stock. So first I'll go over what I have here in front of me. So I have my chicken here. My chicken did come with some organs. This is not necessary, but optional, as well as some chicken feet. Again, not necessary, but optional. I like to add in the extra collagen. And then I have here my filtered water. I have my Redmond salt. I have my stainless steel pot. And then I have a bowl and spoon for skimming off the scum that will rise once it begins to boil. And then my metal strainer and glass bowl for afterwards. So this is what you will need from start to finish. All right, so I added everything to my pot. I wanted to make 2 notes. So I did put in these organs, and notice I did put the chicken on with the skin. I know both of these things can be kind of hard to eat, but I will offer 2 suggestions and I'll show you how to do them afterwards. With the organs, they are little powerhouses, so I highly encourage you eating them with your soups. But even if you just boil them with your chicken, it will still be very beneficial. The way you put them in your soups, if you are open to eating them, is chopping them very finely and dispersing them amongst your soup jars. It will hide it very well. And then secondly, with the skin, I know some people don't enjoy eating boiled skin. You can use an immersion blender once it's all taken off. Add a little bit of broth and it makes like a paste that, again, you can't quite tell that it is skin. So to this pot here, I will begin adding my water. So one thing to note when you're adding the water, it needs to be a 3-to-1 ratio. So what does that mean? 3 parts water to 1 part meat. And so here is about a half gallon, and you see, let's see if I can get a little closer. It's about halfway up my pot here. So I will need more. Now, another thing to be aware of is whenever we're doing the water, is we want concentrated nutrients. So we don't want to put too much water. So we want all this good stuff from the meat stock to be concentrated. We want it whenever it gets refrigerated like a gel. That makes it super nutritious and gelatinous here. So let's see, I'll put my finger here on the meat. I like to have it about 1 inch or so above the meat, so I'm going to add a little bit more water. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. I'm going to put my finger in again. Yes, okay. And so from here, I'm going to put it on my stovetop, and then I'm going to bring it to a boil. Now, when it comes to a boil is when I begin my 2-hour time. So if it's at a boil, I begin the timer for 2 hours, and then I will bring it down to a simmer once it's reached that boil. All right, so my stock is now at a rolling boil. So at this time, I'm gonna lower it. And then if you're able to see this scum on top, I'm gonna be skimming all of that off. It has some impurities, so we're just gonna get all of that out. And I have lowered again my stock, so I will take note of the time and turn this off in 2 hours. So after the 2 hours, I let my chicken cool, and then I poured it through the strainer, and then it fell into the bowl below. Now you will have more broth than your bowl can hold. So just once it gets full, I transfer the strainer back into my big pot, and then I use a measuring cup to begin pouring them into these half-gallon mason jars. And then once my chicken is cooled, I will pick off the skin and take out the organ. So the skin here, I put it all in here, and then I used an immersion blender to blend it. Now, if you don't have an immersion blender, that's not a problem. You can do this in a food processor, or if you have a blender, you will put your skin in there with about 2 to 3 tablespoons of your meat stock, blend it, and then you have chicken skin that isn't all rubbery or chewy. And then I mentioned earlier about the organs that are very nutrient dense, and you have the option to chop these very finely and put them into your soup jars. A little bit goes a long way. So if you can just put a little bit in each jar, that would be super, super helpful. And just to give you an idea of how much broth is made for me, I have here 16 cups of broth, and a little more because I did put some in my skin, and then I did put some to the side for my lunch. So you're welcome and ready to assemble these, or if you want to leave these things as they are separate. I think it's much easier to put them into jars, soup jars ready to go. So the way I like to do it is first I take apart my chicken. I will measure out about half a cup, fill the jars with the half cups, and then I will add a little bit of organs to each jar, a little bit so that you can't taste it, and then also a little bit of skin to each jar as well. And then I top it with either 1.5 cups to 2 cups of broth. This is your preference as to how soupy or not soupy you want your broths. But yeah, this is how I make my meat stock.